Welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I'm your host, Cardin Ellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everyone.
And apparently the New York City Yang Gang has been up to some pretty wild shenanigans, posting posters. That's a little bit redundant, but putting posters all around town telling people, hey, the election's coming up. Let's not screw it up. Go Google Andrew Yang. So we thought, hey, why don't we do this live on the show in front of everybody, and let's see. I mean, that's a confident elevator pitch.
Yeah, and just to be fair, this is something that's universal amongst the Yang supporters. The Google Andrew Yang has become kind of the unofficial slogan of the campaign. Like, if you want to introduce someone to Andrew Yang, just tell him to Google him. And again, it does speak to the confidence of his supporters. That Google him's all I gotta tell you. The rest he'll handle.
Yeah, confidence, the sexiest body part, and it reminds me of I had a friend of mine that I don't at all recommend this, but he would go up and when he was approaching a girl or somebody he might be romantically involved in, he'd say, hey, I'm interested in you. Here's my number. Call me if you're interested too, or whatever. I think that takes a certain amount of confidence. Not the way I would handle the situation, but it does speak to the confidence of the guy, right? I think it's extremely confident if your elevator pitch is just Google me, because you're basically saying anything you find on Google I find so compelling and multifacetedly good that you will be attracted to my candidacy.
Yeah. I do want to point, though, again, this is something that's mostly come kind of from the grassroots Yang supporters. Andrew Yang isn't saying Google me. His supporters are saying Google him. And I think that's what's very fascinating is there's this sense you don't get a lot of people running deflection for Andrew Yang. And we'll kind of actually highlight that in a second. So why don't you just go forward and Google him, kind of
Let's
show
do it.
Okay.
What comes up on yours, because it's probably different than what comes up on mine. I tried to clear all my cookies and go incognito.
You know what? Actually, give me 1 second. I need to load up an incognito tab for this. So
there we are. Mine, you want me to say what comes up on my three first?
No, you can talk about it. I'll throw it on the screen in 1 second. So
Okay. Mine is how Andrew Yang's robot apocalypse can heal a divided nation by The New Yorker 10 hours ago. That's interesting. Silicon Valley has found its presidential candidate in Andrew Yang. I wonder about that one if they really have, because there's a lot that aren't wanting the governmental intervention that is being prescribed by Elizabeth Warren, a fellow Democrat, and others would probably feel definitely a gravitational push towards him, such as Elon Musk. That's an interesting claim. I'd like to see how they back it up. And of course, our favorite friend and our biggest national treasure, Nicolas Cage, is reportedly a part of the Yang Gang. That's actually kind of old news from the Inquisitor, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Well, I believe they did an article talking about and other people that have invested in him. But if I recall, Nicolas Cage actually was a early Yang Gang adopter, so to speak. He invested. Or he donated, I forgot exactly how much, a substantial amount a few months ago. So it's been a while that he's been involved.
Okay,
$1,000. Ironically enough, he donated $1,000 to Andrew Yang, I believe 2 or 3 months ago.
So my first impressions of this would be interesting how Andrew Yang's robot apocalypse can heal a divided nation.
Well, but again, those are just the top stories. The first literal results you get when you Google Andrew Yang, the first actual Google result is yang2020.com.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe this is where we were talking about that confidence comes from in Andrew Yang supporters. If you go to yang2020.com and you just click on what is UBI, we'll just follow through. I'm clicking on my screen. What is UBI? For any of you guys that are interested in Andrew Yang and know about him, and you've seen his podcast, I really encourage you guys dive into his website. I mean, when you go to what is the freedom dividend, I mean, he goes point by point. What is it? How does Andrew Yang want to implement it? Who should get the freedom dividend? How would we pay for it? What are the benefits? Would it stack with Social Security? Is there evidence to support the case for the freedom dividend? I've never heard of the freedom dividend. Yeah. Where does it come from? Why do we need it? What impact would it have? And he goes through point by point and just and lays out exactly what he's thinking. For example, here are some people who have supported universal basic income over the years. Martin Luther King Jr., Richard Nixon, Milton Friedman, Bernie Sanders, Barack Obama, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg. Bernie, as of 2014, he's changed his view.
Okay.
But the idea being that if you just Google Andrew Yang and just follow that rabbit hole, so to speak, and if you find your way and you make it over to yang2020.com/policies, I know a lot of people I've seen personally online have basically said, I liked Andrew Yang, I saw his podcast, I saw him on Joe Rogan, I saw him on Breakfast Club, and you get to this yang2020.com/policies and you go, holy cow. I mean, he wants to end partisan gerrymandering. He has a plan. That's neat. What's the head of culture and ceremony? Grid modernization, race to the top, carbon fee and dividend. Like,
I'm really interested.
It seems like he's thought of everything almost, right?
Yeah, I'm really interested in the fact that there's a Democrat that has a strong border policy.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that Switzerland does such a good job taking care of its citizens, but hey, they've got an insane border and citizenship policy. So that's why they can have such robust internal programs, is because they've really ratcheted down on who is truly internally Swiss. And that's not to completely endorse their system. I don't know all about it, but in the travels that I've done there, it seems like it works well, and I want our systems to work well. So for me, what's interesting and jumped out on me, on my screen, was smart people should build things. I actually
His books, yeah.
Yeah, I would gravitate towards clicking on a book title of Smart People Should Build Things. And then of course I would be turned off by the fact that the first video there is a Now This video, because I view them as a completely partisan, sellout, leftist media organization. But I would be attracted to the 20 questions for 2020 Andrew Yang, because I like it when people speak in their own words. So this definitely, I would say this. Something I notice and I appreciate, and you've alluded to this, I give you full credit for this observation in private conversations before the show. Something I do like that I've noticed when you Google Andrew Yang is an absolute dearth, a non-existent allusion to any kind of personal or moral scandal, which I very much appreciate. In my lifetime, I've only had a chance to vote for 2 presidents who are even married to their first wives and who haven't had these scandalous affairs. And I'm sorry, that level of personal morality, it does influence my decision making, because I think oftentimes good governance is moral, and kind of the way you prove that you meander through life as best morally as you can is by making good moral decisions in your human relationships. That doesn't mean that a divorcee cannot be a phenomenal leader. I think they can, because there's been people in my life that have gotten divorced from psychos, and I fully supported the divorce, okay? However, I will say there is something to be said about someone who, wakes up in the morning, feeds his family, works hard, does his best for humanity, and keeps his ship tight. I appreciate that. And in a world now where everything's getting turned upside down, where is Epstein more tied to Trump or more tied to Clinton? Is, this the 4th wife that's suing for $5 billion or the 5th? That gets old. And as George Bush said, when he was, going up against Clinton's 8 years, he said, we're going to return dignity to the White House. And I think that, at least for me and my... this has sounded totally boomer, I know. You know what I'm saying? That's something I appreciated when I Googled Andrew Yang. Cody, where am I going wrong?
I would say it just kind of varies from time to time. For example, recently we did this. We pulled up other candidates on Google, and we found, I believe at the time, Kamala Harris was being charged with having received money from a law firm that represented Epstein.
Oh, and slept her way to the top with Mr. Brown.
But anyway, what I want to get to, which is kind of more interesting and actually kind of fascinating, because I didn't just Google Andrew Yang. I Googled everyone, right? Frontrunners: Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris. Right? This is what I thought was really fascinating. And I have to be frank, I don't know if it's just SEO work being done by their campaign, or if it's just part of being in the public eye for longer. Anyway, I'll just show you guys. When you Google search Bernie Sanders, very first Google result, BernieSanders.com official campaign website.
Oh, well, of course it's going to be.
But that's what I was thinking. Andrew Yang, same thing, right?
Yeah.
If I pull up Kamala Harris, first Google result is Kamala Harris at Wikipedia.com. I pull up Joe Biden. First Google result is Joe Biden's Wikipedia.com. Talking about controversies and scandals, those have a way to make it in to your Wikipedia article before they make it into your 2020 campaign website. That's not where you publish, oh yeah, by the way, I'm being accused of X, Y, and Z. That'll show up in your Wikipedia page. I don't think it's the most drastic difference. I just did think it was a little bit interesting. I believe Pete Buttigieg as well. If you Google Pete Buttigieg, the first thing you're going to get that's not an ad is PeteForAmerica.com.
Interesting. Okay.
Interesting as well. So I don't know if it's just the Pete Buttigieg, Bernie Sanders, Andrew Yang's campaign is a little bit more online savvy, understand SEO, and know how to get their campaign website above Wikipedia. Because I have to imagine it's not a matter of picking up a phone and calling someone, because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, I have to imagine, are pretty well connected, and they could, if it was that simple, someone would do it. But again, I thought it was a fascinating thing, just kind of like you said, live going through, Googling Andrew Yang and other candidates, how Andrew Yang, Pete Buttigieg, Bernie Sanders directs you immediately to their campaign site. But really, I guess you would say the front runners, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, take you to their Wikipedia article. And for example, again, we'll kind of just really quickly go through this live with you guys. But if you pull up the Kamala Harris Wikipedia article, I just really wonder, what do you learn about her in Wikipedia you wouldn't learn about her on her campaign page, right? For example, early career, violent crimes and conviction rate. Well, Harris was the San Francisco district attorney. The overall felony conviction rate rose from 52% to 63%, the highest in a decade. There is an 85% conviction rate for homicides, and convictions of drug dealers increased from 56% to 74%. Depending on what you think about crime and drugs and how we should be convicting people, right, you can draw conclusions. Still, I don't know necessarily if that's on our campaign website. Hey, I was the top cop and I arrested everybody. Everyone got charged when I was there. I don't know if that's what her campaign spiel is. Again, I do think that's kind of a fascinating thing. We spoke about how videos and top stories in general on Google are going to be the top things that come up, and you can't control that. If a scandal just hit about you, it's going to be there. But I do wonder, and it's tough, right? Time will tell. We just kind of started this whole wacky world of online candidacies and campaigns, right? I mean, Obama was the first, I think, to really kind of start to warm up to the idea of getting online movements. And since we've seen what Trump and Bernie and Andrew Yang now, what they've done with these online movements. How important is it, though, to seize that top Google spot and control the narrative, so to speak, and say, no, this is my campaign and my policy?
How important is it? I think that is the important thing for anybody under the age of 40. And the millennial voting bloc is the largest voting bloc now. It used to be baby boomers. They compete with baby boomers because even though they're smaller in population, they have a much higher voting rate that makes them still a huge bloc that you have to pander to. But I know this just from running my business. 85% of all service inquiries begin online. And probably 14 of that remaining 15% are word of mouth, I would estimate. So if you really want to be somebody that gets leads and business for your air conditioning repair company, you better have one heck of an awesome online profile, online footprint, and online review average, or you're just going to be that guy that doesn't call and is 17th on Yelp. So,
and again, really quickly, I just want to highlight again the idea of letting Wikipedia take that top spot from you. Joe Biden, allegations of inappropriate physical contact. There have been multiple photographs and videos, yada, yada. I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with the controversy. Yeah. Idea being, when people
are directed,
immune
to that now,
No, but what I mean is when people are directed to your campaign website, as I highlighted with Andrew Yang, you're looking at, his UBI, how's he going to pay for it? What is it? Who gets it? Oh, these are his policies. Very interesting. Yeah. When you go to Wikipedia, man, it's just people cataloging you. And you talk about someone like Joe Biden, he's been around for a while. If I had more time to dig through, there's probably information there about his voting record in the 70s or 80s and how that might not reflect his ideas today. I just think it's one of the really cool things about, just the whole Yang Gang movement. Really quickly, I want to, because I do feel bad, I want to shout out that, and I don't want to be too plain, I don't want to get, leave people out, because it's inevitably going to happen because there's so many people. But there's a lot of people out there, man, who really believe in Andrew Yang, really believe in what he's doing. Here's an account right here. Yang Gang RVA was out putting up Google Andrew Yang signs. Homeless man was in the corner. I gave him a couple bucks and a Yang business card. The look on his face when I told him about the 1K a month was more motivation to keep pushing. He asked if I had more business cards, and I loaded them up. I mean,
dude, if you could get the homeless to start pimping your product, every time you give a homeless man a buck, he hands out an Andrew Yang card.
Yeah, well,
how many cards would get handed out?
Beyond that, again, though, it speaks to the confidence that I believe Andrew Yang supporters have in the candidate. Well, like I said, they don't feel like they have to go out there running deflection. Oh, yeah, look, I know Kamala Harris locked up a person a day for marijuana possession and marijuana sales charges when she was in the DA of California. I know Kamala Harris had that thing where she was on stage and she said, build more schools, we need more prisons. And there was like a joke, like smiling, like she actually thought it was like humorous to imply that we need less prisons in more schools. Yeah. Like, you don't have to run deflection for Andrew Yang. You could just say, these are his ideas, this is what he believes, and this is who the guy is. Just look him up. Whatever you find, I trust it'll be good. Yeah. That is refreshing. And because even you look at our president today, you couldn't tell someone to just Google Donald Trump when he was running for president, and that was the pitch for why you should vote for him. If you're just Googling, you'd be like, this guy's a monster. What do you mean? Why'd you tell me to Google this guy? But when you Google an Andrew Yang or someone, or really specifically Andrew Yang, and because even Pete Buttigieg, you can Google Pete Buttigieg, you can get lost in that rabbit hole of, did he oversee a racist police department? Did he inappropriately respond to allegations?
Or just how
do
you pronounce his name?
But you see what I mean? Like, this stuff doesn't exist for a candidate like Andrew Yang, and it's really fascinating in today's media world, especially with 20 people running for the ticket. There's a lot of sniping and pulling up old stuff, and hey, this person actually stands for this. They flip their position on that. Andrew Yang, what position has he flipped on? What bad voting records does Andrew Yang have? What
he enjoys a fresh
controversies?
face. He enjoys a fresh face and an outsider position that Donald Trump enjoyed in 2016.
Well, no, Donald Trump didn't
without
enjoy
the
it.
baggage. Politically, he had no political scandals.
No, but what about but not politically? But I don't think there's going to be an Access Hollywood tape that drops for Andrew Yang.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. Yes, absolutely, and that's what I mentioned earlier. So anyway, please let us know how it goes when you Google Andrew Yang. We definitely believe this is one of the strongest elevator pitches we have heard in a long time, and tell us, Yang Gang, how it's going for you. If you haven't liked, please like. Don't forget to subscribe. This is Problem Solver Politics.